Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. Just out here, at the station camp area, out here at the Pathfinder School, doing some improvements. And every once in a while, I just like to shoot a quick tip or trick video for you guys. And I want to show you guys a really quick tip on the way I use tensioner lines on tarps and things like that. It might give you some ideas. Now, I use bank line for most of my lines. I don't use paracord. Derek Faria did a very good video on my channel a while back on the difference between paracord and bank line, and I prefer bank line, always have. I teach all of my students to use bank line instead of paracord, but I want to show you with this bank line the way I do my tensioner knots for my tarp and the way I stow my cord. It makes it real easy to up and down the thing, and I just want to kind of go over that with you real fast as a quick tip or trick, so stay with me. Okay, so I've got a piece of bank line here, and the first thing I'm going to do with this bank line, and I'm just going to go through how I'd set a line up on a tarp, and that'll kind of show you the whole thing. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie what's called a figure 8 and a bite. And that basically just means I'm going to take a bite in the rope. I'm going to fold it under behind the rope, just like this. Okay, you can see that. Then I'm going to come back and around and loop it over and come back up through, just like this. And what that gives you is, it gives you that appearance. Let me tighten this down just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. It gives you that appearance of a figure 8, okay? And that's what I'm looking for to begin with. Then I'm going to take that figure 8, and the reason I use that figure 8 like that is because it's pretty easy to get undone. Then I'm going to take the corner of my tarp, and I'm just going to put that loop up through the corner of my tarp and pull the rest of the line through that loop, creating like a hitch in there. And I usually use 25-foot lines for most everything. That way I got plenty of extra. And I'll show you what to do with that extra here in just a few minutes. And then I'll just pull that through the loop just like that, and it cinches down tight on the grommet. All right? Okay, so now that I got my line tied to my tarp, I'm going to come around the tree that I'm going to use to wrap my line around, pull my slack around. I'm going to figure out the best spot that's about in the center of this line, okay? Then I'm going to let it go slack. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie another one of those figure 8s and a bite right there, right in the middle of my line, just like this, okay? And it doesn't have to be perfectly neat. The good thing about these figure 8 knots is they're pretty easy to get undone in the end. Okay, so we've got our figure 8 right there, and now we've got a loop. We're going to use that for a tensioner loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the slack end of our line, and we're going to pull against that line to tension this tarp to get it tight where we want it. All right? Once we get that done, once we've got that pulled where we want it, what we're going to do, I want to zoom in a little bit on this for you. What we're going to do is we're just going to pull, we're going to grab a loop of it with our finger, just like this, and we're going to push across both lines, come back around. I usually like to do this and trap it with my 2 fingers. So what I'll do is I'll put a finger here, okay? I'll put my thumb there, I'll come over both lines and trap it, and then I'll pull it down and cinch it. Now that line's tight, it's not going anywhere, but it will come out just by pulling this. It goes loose again. So I'm going to pull it tight, trap it with my finger, trap it with my thumb, come over the top of both lines, come through, and tighten it down, okay? Now I've got this loop right here. Now, what I'm going to do with the rest of my line is, I've got quite a bit of line left here because I'm using 25-foot lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll that around my hand a few times until I get it close to where it needs to be. Then I'm going to just stick it right between this fork right here, okay? And I'm going to roll it up on itself, just like this, straight up the middle of the fork, till it gets up to the knot, just like that, okay? Now, nothing's hanging out for me to get lost. There's no problem. It's not messy. It's not nasty. I'm not going to trip over it in the middle of the night, nothing like that. Okay, so when I'm ready to take this out, all I have to do is pull this out and let it dangle. It's going to stick together a little bit because it's tarred bank line. Make sure that my knot side is freed out like it is. All I have to do is pull that, and it comes loose, and I'm done. Then all I gotta do is pull my line off. I can adjust it up and down if I want to, depending on the weather. If I want to drop my pitch a little bit because of an incoming storm or something like that, I can get it right back around the tree again and get it tight, just like I had it in just a matter of seconds. There's nothing to it. Then all I have to do is go back again, roll my line up, put it in between these 2 lines, like I did before, and just roll it up on itself. So I roll it up to where the knot's cinched down at, and it's done. Simple as that. Nice, neat, tidy, no fuss, no muss. I just wanted to show you guys that today as a little tip or trick on how to use tensioner lines with your tarps.